Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum. The subject today is, how can the Al-Bet help you in your youth? What I will start by saying is, what do you know about the Al-Bet? What do you know? You know about all the other personalities in the world, your famous footballers, maybe even pop stars, astaghfirullah, actors. You know everything about them. You follow their social media accounts, you read their life stories, any article in the newspaper, you pay great attention. And so they then become what you could consider your peers in life or people you want to emulate. It's because you don't read about the Al-Bet that you don't know much about them and that they won't have an effect on your life. Among the Al-Bet, we have great examples of youth. Apart from the sacrifices in Karbala, let's take our holy Imam, Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam. If I asked all of you, what age was he an Imam? He was very, very young. Can you imagine the responsibilities of having to lead a people in a religion under time of persecution as a 14-year-old, as some riwayat say? If you read about Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, this will have an influence on you. You will understand what being real means. Because, let's be honest, stardom and what you idolize, or what you may idolize, and I grew up like this, so I'm trying to tell you what you shouldn't be from my experiences, is superficial. They're not real. It's an act. It's a show. I won't mention any names, but certain people, they try and show themselves growing up and they show photos of when they were young, but they'll never show you the bad stuff. They'll only show you everything that looks good. When you read about the Al-Bet alayhi salam, that's history, that's factual, that's actual, that's real. When you read about Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam and the levels of responsibility that suddenly fell upon him, you will see actions that had implications forever. Our Imams, not that they can't make a mistake, they don't make a mistake. So Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam turns around and he sees mayhem around him. He's a young boy. Can you imagine, as a 13 or 14-year-old, you had to come out in your community and start leading people who were 60 years old? Can you imagine what they would say to you? No, you're a kid. What do you know? Okay, I know you're a son, for example, of a great Maulana or an Ayatollah, but what do you know? Do you think Musa al-Kazim, Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, was not faced with this dilemma? Yet it was his akhlaq, his mannerism, his intelligence, where people turned around and looked up to him. They didn't look down at him. They looked to him and said, he is the solution. He is the one that will lead us out of these times. He is our Imam. Reading about him, you will turn around and have great influences on your life, because it will help you not make errors, because they are the greatest of teachers. Stop idolizing and worshipping people who have no influence on anyone. All the stars you see, they do it for themselves. They all do it for themselves. They don't do it for you. They just want your money. You're just one of their fans and they earn lots of money off you. Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam did it for you. He did it for me. He did it for every one of us. Let's go to Karbala. Let's go to Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam, our most beautiful youth. Some riwayats say he was 21, 24. Some say he was 28. Irrelevant. He was a youth. He was handsome. He was beautiful. To the extent that people used to come to visit him to remember the Prophet, peace be upon him. Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam was valiant, courageous. He was strong. He was an example to all of us growing up. Because when he was in Karbala and he said to his father, His father, Imam Hussein al-Islam, said to him, you do know where we are going, Ali Akbar. You do know what's going to happen. And he said, Father, are we not on the right path? Are we not on the right path? That is an example. That is an influence you want. Are you on the right path? Not an influence of, am I making myself richer? Because you see all those people out there that you see, you idolize, you watch, you read about, they're actually publicly telling you about their lives because they want you to go and buy memorabilia about them or watch their movies or go and print their name on a shirt because they make money from that. They really don't give a damn about you and the influences they have on your life. They couldn't care less if you were sick tomorrow. But general society, people around you will, and your imams will. When you are sick, and may Allah not make any of you sick, your mother will go and pray, and she will give, she will say to Allah, for the sake of this imam, or the sake of him, or the sake of him. And they are the ones who will then turn around and say, Allah, please, I intercede on behalf of this mother to alleviate this problem for this child. When you go for exams, your mother does the same, your father does the same, your aunties and uncles, your brothers and sisters, they all turn to Allah and the Al-Bet. So start letting them be an influence on your life. Start reading about them, because one of the worst things in our society is we don't read about the Al-Bet. We don't know about their youth. Of course we know about the battles of Karbala and we know about certain personalities, like I mentioned, Hazrat Ali Akbar al-Islam, Imam Zain al-Abidin al-Islam. What do you know about Imam Muhammad Baqir and his youth? What do you know about Hazrat Abbas al-Islam and his youth? We all know he was in Karbala, he was loyal. But what do you know? How can he have an influence on your life if you don't read about him? If you don't read about Hazrat Ali Akbar, if you don't read about Imam Musa al-Kazim al-Islam, if you don't read about any of the Imams, how will you know? How will they have an influence on you? And those influences are the ones that will make you go the right way, make the right decisions, do the right things, and be great personalities yourself. Many times you will hear people say, oh, he was an imam, I can't be like him. No one's telling you to be like him. The idea is to get as close to him as you possibly can, because if you ever want to look at perfection, you have to look at the youth of every one of our imams, because in their youth they were perfect. In their elderly age they were perfect. They're nothing but perfection. If we look at the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his youth, what do you know about the Prophet's youth? The Prophet was known as Siddiq, the truthful, as a young, youthful personality. People used to go to him for arbitration, the Meccans, because of his truthfulness. Did you know that? Did you know? If you didn't know, then you have to ask yourself the question, how can the Ahl-Bayt have an influence on my life if I don't know about the Ahl-Bayt?
Thank you.